so here's our first replay of the stream. It's good to get back into replay analysis. This is Chocolate Cookie, who I believe plays on the EU server, and he shared this replay in the Arpeggio Myoko. Now, a little bit of history about the ship before we get into characteristics. She's a clone of the Myoko. The tech tree Myoko originally was just added as another ship, eventually made into a premium ship, along with all the other Arpeggio ships. She's a Tier 7 Myoko clone, but one of the first of the Myokos. So she's got a special place in my own personal heart because I was very excited to pick her up. Once upon a time, you can get the Myoko for free just by completing a mission. Alright, so characteristics of the Myoko. At its Tier 7 Japanese heavy cruiser, she's got 203mm guns. These things punish. They've got really good HE, really good ballistics, decent reload. Their AP, a lot of people forget about the AP. If you show broadside to these 203s, you will pay for it if you're in a cruiser. And on top of that, she's got 2 racks of 10km, that's right, 10km torpedoes. And once upon a time, those were considered extremely long-ranged. Now, they're kind of medium-ranged, essentially. They're still pretty good. The only problem with them is the torpedo arc. You have to show about flat broadside to get your rear torpedoes off because they fire about broadside and behind. So the problem with that is a lot of people find themselves turning broadside to fire off their torpedoes, and then they get smashed because they expose their citadel. Be careful with that. Cookie, I was just about to mention that. She's also extremely maneuverable and quick, for Tier 7 especially. Very common for her to have her rudder and or engine broken down, but especially rudder. Rudder seems to break on her a lot. It's the same as the Eastern and Southern, yes, Dragon ships. That's correct, Goros. That's correct. Yeah, fun ship.
There's a couple of Myoko clones. Eastern Dragon,
yes.
Southern Dragon, Ashigara,
Nashi,
Myoko, and I'm pretty sure I forgot at least one.
I mean...
Haguro, I believe.
Haguro.
Haguro.
Yeah,
so
all the
there
Arpeggio
were
ones, right?
Yeah, so there were 4 Myoko class cruisers. Myoko, Haguro, Nachi, and Ashigara. All of them were laid down in the 1930s. All of them have identical designs, basically designed to maximize firepower and speed. Didn't really follow the Washington Treaty, not like New Orleans, which followed the Washington Treaty, but still not the most efficient design in the world, but very fast, very agile, hard-hitting firepower. Now, there is one historical inaccuracy to note. Myoko is actually supposed to have quadruple torpedo launchers, while the Mogami is supposed to have triple torpedo launchers. However, that is reversed in-game.
Yeah.
Mogami gets the quads, while Myoko gets the triples. Which makes sense, because, let's be frank, you have 16 Japanese 610mm torpedoes at Tier 10, Tier 7, like we see on the actual Maya, we have a Tier 7, you run into some problems.
So originally the Mogami was the Tier 7 ship in World of Warships, and the Myoko was actually Tier 8. And Wargaming flipped him, for whatever reason. And made the Myoko the 7 and the Mogami the 8. Somewhere in closed beta, middle of closed beta, towards the end of closed beta.
Probably because of layout. I mean, if you go from Mogami to Ibuki, Myoko to Mogami to Ibuki, the layout shifts. So even
the progression makes more sense.
Yeah, the progression makes more sense because you have the pyramid turrets at the front on Myoko, and then you have the super firing turrets, a 2+1 super firing on the Mogami, and then the Ibuki.
So what he's getting at, one of the things the Japanese did when they built their cruisers was they tried, and this is their naval doctrine for a lot of the World War II ships. They wanted to be in a situation where they could 1v1 any opponent of equal size and win. So for the Mogami and the Myoko, right, they were looking at the American cruisers and being able to 1v1 them. So that's part of why they had torpedoes. They also envisioned using them as destroyer leaders and that sort of deal. But having triple turrets like this, with one that's reversed in the third slot here, it means that you can share one magazine amongst 3 turrets. That's very efficient. The Mogami, because it's got its turret the other way, the magazine is farther away from the front, from the 3rd turret from the front too. A little bit less efficient for them. Causes a little bit larger area that has to be set aside for powder, shells, all that good stuff. Anyway, from a game perspective, it makes sense. These turrets, by the way, are kind of giving you a hint, and same thing with the torpedoes. They're giving you a hint in how you want to play the ship. You want to play it in a kiting away playstyle. This is not a ship that you go and charge face first into enemy. You have to get into a position where you can turn, kite, and you actually reverse in. Rob, I was talking to you about how to kite away before in one of your ships. I think it was the Drake at tier 9. Same thing here. You start off sideways and then back in. Now this is a ranked battle, and let's take a look at the build that you've chosen for this ranked battle. You've got main arm. What?
I'm not sure if I agree with the kiting away position for a Myoko.
Oh no,
Well, we'll get to that.
And the
Yeah, you brought it up, Grunty. What?
because the turret firing angles from the forward turrets firing backwards is really, really bad.
But
I guess.
you also have a 8-second rudder and you're fast, so I mean, if the majority of your armament's firing backwards anyways, you might as well be kiting on the ship.
Yeah,
This,
that was my thinking too.
the other thing is too that one of the advantages that the mid-tier Japanese heavy cruisers have that the higher tier ones don't seem to have for some inexplicable reason is if you take a look at the armor scheme, the Myoko has a 41mm thick deck. That allows you to not only shatter a lot of high explosive rounds, basically any 152mm rounds that aren't German. Most 203mm rounds that aren't German, and most lower tier light caliber SAP rounds will actually shatter on your deck.
Yep.
But you also bounce every single battleship round that you face. The problem is that your sides are only 25mm, so you just get straight overmatch through that section as well.
I always say
stupid.
I always say that the Japanese heavy cruisers have troll armor. They troll people that shoot at them, and they troll the people that are sailing in the ship because of their little wonkiness about them. And Cookie, yeah, it might come again because of the original design choice of the Myoko being a tier 8. Who knows? But in any case, let's take a look at your build here. So main armaments mod 1, engine room protection, aiming systems, and propulsion. Makes perfect sense. Now, what's your maneuverability? 7 seconds without rudder shift. Remember, I always say to people, I want at least under 10 seconds for a cruiser. So 7 seconds is really good. It's really good. Turning circle is a little, it's okay. Anyway,
You can
You've got
make
the
an argument on the module for running the turret reverse mod, because the Japanese cruisers have that unique trait that they already have the destroyer dispersion, which is better, so they are really accurate. And the turret reverse is one of the weaknesses on the Myoko. It's really
you're talking
Absolutely.
about in slot 3.
yeah,
Yeah,
slot
slot
3.
Yeah, there's an argument to be made there. But I don't know. I feel like having that 7% better dispersion does help in some circumstances.
Especially against destroyers. I would say it
against
comes
the-
down to... I think it comes down to if you find yourself changing sides a lot because of that third turret having that rear firing arc. If you've changed sides a lot, then I think I would agree with main battery. If you don't change sides a lot, and you're better at kind of planning ahead and like pre-turning turrets, if you decide you're going to turn, that sort of deal, I think aiming systems is going to be your better pick. So, concealment module... You're talking about concealment, Cookie? Accuracy...
Does
not- No.
No.
No. If you're talking about concealment module that you get a tier 8 and above, that actually makes the accuracy of enemies firing at you worse.
I think they actually removed that.
No, it's still in there.
On there.
Still there?
It's still in there.
Oh, weird.
I know, right? All right. Anyway, you've got a choice between
All
defensive anti-air and then hydro. Obviously, hydro is the better choice. You've got a catapult fighter. That's good. Cookie, is there a special captain involved on this, or is it just a standard Japanese captain? It's a premium ship, so frankly, there's no reason not to put Yamamoto on this. No, the skill has no impact on concealment at all, or whatever. Standard captain. Okay. I would argue because it's a premium ship, unless you've got Yamamoto's, like, let's say you've got Yamamoto assigned to a Zhao, even a Zhao build, you would use the same. So I don't know what you would put Yamamoto on that would be a different build than a premium cruiser. And the only reason I say that is because Yamamoto gives you that buffed grease the gears, which comes in really handy for Myoko. Also, of course, you've got the talents, right? If you get first blood, you get an extra consumable. Not so important at tier 7, but if you get 5 kills, you get a Kraken. Then you get a passive heal, which is a really nice passive heal, by the way, and a really good reload on your guns and torpedoes. So if you can put Yamamoto on, or alternately, the Suzuki brothers are good choices as well because they have a buff to survivability expert. You get an extra 50 HP per ship tier. It's a tier 7, so that's 3,500 additional HP. The ship doesn't have a heal. That's your Zhao captain. So this is your Zhao captain right here. So you're training up your Zhao captain.
You play a Zhao without superintendent?
Well, it's
I mean, I would.
Captain. I mean, AR plus SC is a good start, especially if you're not at tier 9 yet. Like, if you have 16 points, you're tier 9. Yes, you're taking superintendent for the extra heat. Not now on a tier 7.
True, but he just said it's a Zhao captain. So if it's a Zhao captain, I would agree. Superintendent would be the first pick over survivability expert. But hey, whatever. This is what he's got. So let's see. So you've got grease the gears into demolition expert, adrenaline rush, concealment, and then survivability. All right. Now for this particular ship, doesn't have a heal, so no worries there. Demo expert. It's 2 points for 1% chance of fire. I don't like it. I just don't. I would rather see you taking priority target, yes.
Yeah, PT. PT is so much more useful. Because here's the thing, right? Priority target doesn't tell you when you're going to get shot. It's telling you how many bad guys want to touch you, right? Or thinking about touching you. So
how many of them are trying to shoot you, yeah.
Yeah, especially helpful in a ranked game, or like even a small skill match or a ranked game, it doesn't matter. So, you know, having that kind of information is like, okay, I have 5 on my priority target. There's 5 mofos coming this way. I'm about to get run over. I better leave. Or, you know, if it's 2, it's like, okay, I can kind of stay here. I can kind of deal some damage. Very useful, very helpful skill.
A lot of people don't understand that with priority target. It helps you know when you need to basically stop shooting and go dark and then run. Earlier, Michael was in the P bag. He was up on the border. I made a comment about it, right? The Alaska's turning southward. Stop shooting, go dark, and maneuver. A lot of people don't understand that in cruisers. They think if something is within range of their guns, they have to shoot it. And that's not the case. You have to be able to manage your hit point pool. So that's where priority target comes into play. If I'm shooting something and it says one person targeting me, if I know who that person is, it's most likely the person I'm shooting, I feel perfectly comfortable. If that number jumps up to 2, now I'm starting to look around. Who else has got a gun lock on me? Is it a battleship? Is it a cruiser? Is it a destroyer, right? It gives you so much more information. If it goes up to 3 or 4, I'm going dark and getting the hell out of Dodge because obviously they're targeting me. And then the other thing too about priority target people don't get is when you are chasing down that pesky destroyer in the mid to end game and that destroyer decides to torpedo you, most destroyers that are torpedo destroyers are going to have their guns locked on you. It's just a habit. They're going to have your guns looking at you, and then they're going to change to torpedoes, and then they're going to switch back to guns again as soon as they fire their torpedoes. When that happens, your priority target goes -1 and then +1 again, right? So it tells you, hey, somebody just fired torpedoes at me. So if I go 1 to 0 to 1, I know a destroyer just fired torpedoes. So what am I going to do? I'm going to immediately change speed, and I'm going to immediately change course by 45 degrees, at least. And I'll probably dodge all the torpedoes that are fired at me. Also, I'll put up hydro if it's available. So that's why I feel priority target is so helpful, especially at mid to high tiers.
It's also like the demo expert itself on a ship that already has a good fire chance base.
It's redundant.
So
It is a
So
waste.
redundant.
like a Myoko base fire chance is I think 17%. Put on the flex, you're at 19. You take that skill, you go up to 20. That barely makes any difference. Like if you really want to take it, you take this like as your 21st point on the commander.
Right. So Cookie, and this goes up all the way to Zhao even. Like there's no reason to go for demo expert on a Zhao. So Cookie, I know we just had free respecs. It may be worth considering respecking when it becomes free again. Please don't feel like you need to spend doubloons. The 1% doesn't matter either way. This hurts though, because I really do feel like you're losing a lot of situational awareness because of that.
A lot of value, yeah.
Like I would even take torpedo reload over demo expert on the Japanese cruisers.
It's not a bad option, actually, yeah.
Fill the tubes isn't a bad option. Even the pack of punch isn't a bad option. Iron Meals, great question. Even without torpedoes loaded, I select and unselect a target. Does that show up? Yes. So if you want to screw with people that you think have priority target, go to guns, go to torps, go back to guns again. Or if you're playing like a Dutch cruiser, go to guns, go to airstrike, go back to guns again. A lot of times, if you do that and you see somebody start maneuvering immediately afterwards, they've got priority target. And you can totally screw with them for minutes on end, making them think that their torpedo's coming when they're actually armed. That's a good big bring.
Does priority target drop on airstrikes?
Yes.
On
JHL, thanks for tuning in.
Airstrikes as well?
Anytime that you are on an armament other than primary guns. So you can you should be able to do that on your ASW as well. Yes.
The trick that Flamu showed the world, and now every random Valsh player uses it. It is annoying, especially when I'm in a Holland. Strip 4 torpedoes. Oh, well, you just bum rush them with club and then 12 torpedoes to the face. Easy money. It's not that hard.
I used to take priority target, but I never looked at it, so I just don't take it anymore. I mean, Joey, if you find yourself not using a skill and it not being helpful, fine. But, you know, some people call it a crutch. I say this is one of the most important skills in this game, and it's cheap at a 2-pointer. If it was a 4-pointer, we'd be talking more about this, right? And yes, a lot of people say, oh, I just put 1 point in incoming fire alert. Incoming fire alert just tells you you're being shot at. It doesn't tell me by how many, and it doesn't tell you how screwed you're about to become. There's no difference between 8 ships firing at you or 1 ship firing at you. And the thing about priority target is, or incoming fire alert is, if there's 8 ships firing at you, that thing's just constantly flashing at you, which is giving you no information at all.
Yeah,
while you're
imagine
watching.
being on the receiving end of a Sherman shooting at you or so. You just have it constantly on.
As Patton says.
Also, like if you are in a big ship that doesn't maneuver well, let's say you're in a Yamato, like just for reference, I know Yamato wouldn't take it, but like, okay, I'm getting shot at. I can't react to these shells in time anyway. They're gonna hit me before I even change my speed 3 knots.
You use IFA on like lighthouse builds to tell you, oh, I'm being shot at, because you already know everybody's going to be shooting at you anyways. IFA, if you're in a cruiser that kind of wants to be playing like a Myoko, you don't want IFA because yes, you might have a DE constantly shooting at you. That IFA is not going to tell you, hey, a Minnesota just fired at you from 15 kilometers away. You're about to get deathstruck off the face of the earth. And then you're like, oh, this is my life now. And then you go.
And so what some people do when they take incoming fire alert is they needlessly take too much evasive action. It actually ruins their damage output, right? Because they're too busy evading shells from one, like, HE spammer, as Cookie says, and like not paying attention to who's actually targeting you. So that's why priority target gives you a lot of benefit over incoming fire alert. I mean, you take one or the other, you don't take both. And again, it's up to you. It's up to you how you want to use it. But anyway, that's the one thing that I would change in this build, Cookie. Actually, the second thing I would change in this build is Superintendent instead of survivability. If you're playing a Zao, any ship that's got a heal, you want one more heal. That's a given. I might even take it before Adrenaline Rush, but whatever.
I would definitely take Superintendent as a first 3-pointer on pretty much any cruiser that has a heal. Very few
Survivability is more important.
exceptions.
I mean, if you're like lower tier, to be honest, for all the cruiser lines that have heals these days, I mean, you have the British cruiser lines, you have the Spanish, and you have the Pan Americans. Yes, you're going to end up taking Superintendent first because you need those extra heals. Like once you start getting into like, especially with the Spanish, because you start to get higher tiers, the ships actually become pretty squishy. Like tier 7, tier 8, and tier 9 are also all very fragile. So having that extra super heal is very useful.
Absolutely.
You can kind of get away with it if on like all the heal cruiser lines tend to be relatively squishy. So having Superintendent's very helpful.
Yep. All right, let's get into the flags before we spend too much time on this. You've got Juliet. You don't have Juliet Charlie. You're not running protection, so you could detonate. You've just got both fire chance flags. So, again, you've got demo expert in. So you basically are setting yourself up for 20% fire chance. I get it. But frankly, I wouldn't take these flags. I would instead, if you're only going to spend 2 flags, Sierra Mike is the first flag I would take. Absolutely. 100% first flag I would take. And then anti-det. Those are the 2 that I would automatically take on pretty much any ship out there. The speed is so helpful, especially Myoko. She's so fast. Why not make her faster? And, you know, that helps your maneuverability and everything else. Other flags that are helpful, fire reduction. Flood reduction's okay. Consumables is decent. It's not so helpful because you don't have a heal. Ramming flag, you just never know when you need to ram somebody. So those are options. You could take Hydro. I don't think Hydro's that necessary, especially at tier 7. So. All right, let's get into the replay.
It's a ranked game, so if you, I would put on all the flags, but that's me.
You could absolutely go for more of a try-hard setup. There's nothing wrong with that.
Myoko replays are always fun though. Very fun to watch. Yes.
Absolutely. Let's get the game started. Get you moving a little bit. All right. So, tier 7. Obviously, this is clan battles. So on your team, Sinup, Heinrich, Scharnhorst, or sorry, ranked. Sinup, Heinrich, Scharnhorst, Myoko, Asturias, Vaquelan, and Skon. And you're up against the Colorado, Poltava, Scharnhorst, Omano, Lazo, Akatsuki, and Bliska. Okay. Colorado is pain for you. Absolute pain. You gotta keep a close eye on what the Colorado is doing and where he's at, and is he shooting at you. Again, this is where priority target comes in handy. Poltava has really good reload, but a lower caliber shell. If you show him broadside, that's pain. Otherwise, you can probably play around him, and it's not too big of a deal. Same with the Scharnhorst. Omano, he's your food. AP, and you're fine. Lazo is going to play at max range and run away from you as soon as you show up. If he doesn't, again, AP and you know, you assert dominance. Akatsuki and Bliska, they're both destroyers. If somebody spots them, you've got HE ready to go, you blap them, and fun ensues. And you've got your Hydro. This is pretty good matchmaking for you.
Yeah. If I'm taking a look at that team list, I'm immediately like, okay, I'm not entirely sure on this path. Like, I'll just point that out immediately. I'm not entirely sure on the path that you're taking. Like, yeah, you immediately caught the Bliskovicia and he's immediately turning.
Pause it here for a second, because what Shockwave is saying is absolutely correct. This is a very aggressive open. The only time I would do this in a Myoko is if, see that Vaquelan right there on your team, the only one of the 2 destroyers on your team? I would do that if the Vaquelan was directly in front of you. If he was 1 full grid square to the right on the minimap of where he is, I would definitely be doing this, because you're supporting your destroyer. But he's not.
Yeah. Most of your destroyers were initially going towards the left side. And your scan still is, for a reason only he knows.
And now you are broadside the Sharn. Sharn probably has HE loaded, so it's probably not a big threat. But still.
He has HE loaded. At this point, it's like immediately turn in. Because you know that
Or out.
shows like turn out, turn in. I mean,
I would turn out, frankly, right away.
That's true, but I mean, frankly speaking, there is the island next to them. So
yes, but taking a look at your teammates Vaquelin, I'd be like, nope. I'm not going to be able to push the side. Look at him. He's already turned. Where is he going?
He's got
right?
to get the juicy banana in the middle of the cup. He's going for the buff. I get to get the juicy banana. This is a good choice to turn out immediately. If I completely expect that Sean wants to still have HE, or just not look at you. Oh, there's the hallucination.
Liska decides to open up, so yeah, shoot him back.
I did not think he was expecting to be lit there at all. So he eats another 2,000 damage for it.
Good.
Okay, now you're running a bit too far. A little bit too far.
You know, the other part of it with kiting is you have to be able to control your speed. By the way, I do like that you luck chuck dumped your torpedoes towards the Scharnhorst. Always do that, and that's again why cutting away is useful in the ship.
I would have turned the other way actually and started reversing back towards the Scharnhorst.
I would have turned the direction he did, but I would have been reversing. I wouldn't have kept moving farther forward here.
No, it's just this. Yeah, no. What he's doing now is good. Stop, right? Stop the engines.
Yes.
Let your Scharnhorst absorb the fire for you, and then start lighting up their Scharnhorst.
Now, their Scharnhorst changed to AP. I want to point this out. That AP hit, and it did next all nothing to your hull because your armor bounced most of it. So this is an ideal setup right now.
Yes, that's the armor scheme on the Myoko I was talking about. Charles is going to shoot AP again. He's probably going to hit the top of his ship, or
You show too much broadside. You show too much broadside for that, and that goes back to Grunty. You were talking about the front turrets having terrible arcs. Might have encouraged him to turn a little bit too much in.
Yeah. Here's a tip that you can do. It's something I learned from John the Ruthless. Keep a track on when your opponents are shooting at you, right? Memorize reloads, right? Scharnhorst has a 20-second base reload with AR.
Oh my god, they ran.
Down. Okay, never mind. Why? Well, that was totally unnecessary. But
For both,
okay, sure.
but especially for yours, yeah.
I mean, well, to be honest, you guys are up one because their mono decided to be in a mono and died, so...
Ironmeos says, don't ask me to remember stuff. So fortunately for you, Ironmeos, there is the T-Taro mod that just got added to Aslane's, and it does have, I believe, reload. Yes. Artillery, range, and reload.
Yes,
Many player panels mod, some mini-map add-ons can all show this information for you.
Yeah.
If you don't want to remember or can't remember. But here's why I would have said earlier, I would have turned the other way. Right now, the Scharnhorst traded with each other. You are kinda out of the battle. Like,
He's got speed.
There's speed, you've got range on the Lazo and the Luskovica, but the
I'd have-
Lazo will beat you long range completely.
I'd be switching to AP here for the Lazo.
He's a bit too angled. It's a chop iron hull, so it can be kind
He
of
is, but what I'm getting at is he's probably going to turn northward, and that's exactly what he does.
Oh yeah,
so,
he's turning into the stories. So yeah,
yes.
80 rounds is optimal here. Now,
see the arcs, the torpedoes?
Yeah. Very, very narrow rear, well, wide but very rear-facing arcs. That's kind of why you want to be reduced to kiting in this ship.
Yeah.
But anyways, as I was saying about what John told me, right, the ruthless one, he told me, or somewhat to the effect, just time your opponent's reloads, right? So let's just say the Scharnhorst is still shooting at you. He's got a 20-second base reload. If he's got AR, he's got like 17 or 18 seconds. So just time that. The moment you shoot, you have those 17 seconds to react to the shot, or 20 seconds to react to the shot.
Nice kill.
Okay, gets the nice shot, gets the Lazo.
That's the
Nice
power of the
citadel.
AP shells. That's the power of the
there's
AP.
Yeah, so it was AP rounds for you, yeah? So you have 20 seconds, react to the shot, shoot, and then turn away just before he shoots again.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of easy. That's how you can mitigate taking large amounts of damage, especially in cruisers that don't have heals. In this case, I mean, now you can kind of just go in, because it's you and the Asturias against the Bliskovica. The Colorado is going to take about, I don't know, the better part of 20 years to get to where you two are anyways.
But the problem with the Colorado is that he's in the middle of this map. So you have to come to him. So yeah, you have to turn in. This is, Grunty mentioned you're out of the fight, and I think this is the part where we're seeing the result of that, right? Don't lose your faith. Keep working on in. The Bliska got himself detected again, and you can see he's probably about to die here. There he goes. So at this point, turn straight into the Colorado and shoot the Colorado to get decaps.
Very fortunate that Bullish decided to get himself spotted here for no good reason.
Yeah,
Looks like he didn't have, he probably didn't have Concealance Expert. Unfortunate. So the Colorado's being smart. He's shooting the correct target. He's shooting the Asturias because he probably knows that the Myoko is like, oh, well, either that or he's just shooting the closest target. He's
the
like,
Asturias is closer to him. He's gonna shoot the Asturias. I would shoot the Poltava here. Get the get the base decap on the Poltava. You're flipping your guns.
Dive the islands, yeah. This is a good play. Dive the islands. Don't turn and try to get to the next island. You might as well dive for it. Yes, the Poltava is not looking at you, but
you lost a little bit of DPM there because you turned faster than your guns. You would have been better off to just let your rudder straighten out for a sec, get the shots off, and then turn.
Now, this is what the Myoko does best, though. Setting fires and dealing large amounts of HE damage. This goes through the entire Japanese line. Now, I'm not entirely sure what your...
I like your plane, by the way. That's good.
That's good, yeah.
Oh, torpedo in the face.
Oh, those are scone torpedoes, so they're going to do next to no damage. Oh no, that's an
ACAT.
That's an Octotorps.
DPM won't win the engagement pattern, that's true. I'm just thinking, you know, get that decap sooner if possible, that's all. Planes out to try to spot through anti-air. Get an idea where the Colorado is. If he's going to keep going out of the cap to chase you, or if he's going to sit in the cap. It looks like he's going out. You can actually back up and torpedo him here. Oh my god, this is going to happen. I can see it already.
Oh, but there's the Akatsuki smoke.
Here's the part. Here comes the PayPal, everybody. We are paying this Colorado to move forward and just hit full W.
Well, yeah, he's getting greedy. He's like, I don't think he was expecting Cookie to actually, you know, instead of play Ring Around the Rosie. And smart choice, by the way, for Cookie to reverse here.
Assured reaction, assured detection right here on the Colorado. He's trying, he's spotted. Oh, he's not going to turn. Oh, he's not going to turn. He's going to take 2, 3, 4.
That's gonna be
there's 3, there's 4.
Those are Japanese long lance torpedoes. Those do a lot of damage. You better be careful.
So the decision to not push here is very smart too, by the way. The hydro is down for another 10 seconds. You don't want to push until you have hydro. Did he detonate?
Sorry.
Even better if he did.
I think the Akatsuki is still in smoke.
He is.
What do you know?
And look, he's dead. So now, this is smart. Back up behind the island. The Poltava can't shoot you. Laquelin is in the cap. So just let him be.
Let him
get the cap for you.
Let the Bakillan do the Bakillan things. You know, just let him cap. Poltava's gonna turn in.
Oh my god, you're coming out? Cookie, what are you doing? No.
He's going for the
you don't need to do this.
This is greed. This is pure greed.
This is pure greed, I agree.
This is Cookie turning into the bait actor. I'm afraid.
Cookie, if this was a Sinop, you're dead. But it's a Poltava, so
because
you're not. That's all there is
not-
to it.
Sinop completely overmatches you. Poltava, thankfully,
Exactly.
doesn't overmatch your side armor. So you can
Exactly.
just sit at a relative angle. Now,
Exactly.
also,
The problem is like, how do you kill it? Like, if you want to kill it with your torps,
Torpedoes,
have
you just
to
come up by the
expose
side,
A
man.
lot of side. You might die for this.
however, Poltava wasted his shot.
Well,
okay.
Here's the thing. To do the drive-by properly for the Poltava, even if you waited for his shot, you're not going to give him that. You would stay directly on him until literally you were on his side. So the Poltava player would have had to have pre-aimed his shells to try to hit your front quarter before you fired your torpedoes at him. That's tough. Could have done it. Could have done it.
Yeah, but the thing is, why take this risk?
I agree. 100% agree. There was no need to take that risk.
Because you know what the funny thing is? If he goes flat broadside as the Poltava probably overped. Because Poltava has literal railguns that have like 890 meters per second velocity. The shells will arm, but they will detonate outside of the ship. So I'm guaranteeing you that it'll overped.
If the Poltava does his typical firing of center mass, yes. If he fires into the front turrets, because the barbettes themselves are Citadel too.
Also,
Yeah,
keep in
barbettes
mind,
will arm.
there was no death flag used in this game. Like, it
No.
didn't even have to be a clean kill. Hmm.
Could have been a very
You're
dirty
right.
kill. One of
You're
the
right.
six. That was, I mean, we'll call that calculated risk, I suppose. We can call this.
There was no calculation behind this.
Sorry, uncalculated risk. My bad.
Calculated. Uncalculated. Okay. We'll
As
call
circuit
uncalculated. That's
There
fine.
was like, what could possibly go wrong?
Patton just screaming like, no! Yeah, no, this is.
I mean, you're right, Patton. You're absolutely right. I'm screaming too internally. Like, it's just, this should not have worked out this way, but it's ranked bronze, so
It's bronze ranked. I mean,
it happens.
well, I mean, this is what I call a nice meme. Yeah.
You know what? You made it work, Cookie, and that's, I mean, that's a testament to you. We're not trying to take away anything from your play and stuff. It's just, other than that charge on the Poltava, like, what the hell?
Well, I mean, to be
I
fair,
mean, at
he
least
probably-
you didn't fail that YOLO rush, right? And miss the torps.
That's the problem when you do
yeah.
YOLOs, is you always have the chance. And by the way, Cookie, if you're going to YOLO charge an enemy, widespread. Widespread.
I feel like going widespreads is a big risk because there's also even like if you get
I
that
wouldn't
close,
watch.
you might as well.
Honestly, if he
I don't-
widespreads that and with the Poltava turning, I think the Poltava actually lives because he's only
Yeah,
taking
that's-
the middle torp.
Well, no, I'm talking about he firing, like, if he gets on the side, you do widespread.
I wouldn't
Earlier, no.
widespread either. I would just.
I
Like,
would,
He has two sets
100%.
of torpedoes. I would just aim one slightly forward and one slightly backward.
So the issue is that a lot of people, they in the heat of the moment, they double click, right? And then all your torpedoes go off to the exact same part of the ship, and then the ship gets saturated and then only takes 10% damage and doesn't die.
I mean, if you
So-
hit center mass, there is no saturation on center mass.
That's my that's a good
The
point.
only problem you could have with center mass is if you miscalculate your damage versus the torpedo protection.
It's
And
like
the other
your
thing too
YOLO
is if you
tomorrow.
miscalculate, for center mass, if you miscalculate, it's very easy for the enemy to dodge. That's the only problem.
No, imagine like that's not a Poltava though, right? Imagine it's not a Poltava. You're bull rushing Musashi. I can kind of see Zat's logic in this, right? Because imagine you're bull rushing like a Musashi and Myoko instead of Poltava. It's like, hey, I got all 6 of my torps off. I'm gonna hit him center mass. Oh wait, I only did 40k because he has. Wait, what? He's like, no, I didn't even do 40. I did 30k because 55% torp belt. Oh wait, I'm dead. Yeah, no. There's some logic to the widespread thing because you're hitting all parts of the ship. You're less likely to hit
Yes.
TDS. and you're more
Yes.
likely to hit unsaturated parts of a ship.
Exactly. And,
You
and
would
I'm bringing it up.
saturate on the bow and stern though, because those sections don't have that many hit points. So even a single torpedo will be partially in saturation on those sections.
I am just bringing it up because I've seen this in other discords where I can't share.
It's not a bad. I will say the same thing as well. I am legally bound to not say anything about this.
All right,
That is
Cookie,
correct.
thank you for sending the replay in. It was a fantastic game. I'm sure you felt really good about yourself and your gameplay, and you really should. A couple of key points we talked about: hiding away initial positioning, and then later, what the hell on your charge on the Poltava. But other than that, a very solid game. Also consider changing up your commander skills and stuff. But let's go ahead and move on. I do have an ad break that's